Final project cinematic chains, biochemistry, analysis of the technique, drive tennis. Objectives: to project a table tennis ball with the forehead stroke, to achieve the impact with the greater force, to correct the technique understood from the biomechanics of movement. Division of the gesture into its phases or parts. Assembly. In the standby position with the insert drive grip, let's spin shoulders, offering the left shoulder to the ball, then we do the back swing. Bring back the racket and ensure that the lead of the hilt is pointing forward. Later, we accommodate the left foot forward onto the right. This way, we will stay outlined to the ball. Hit. With the left hand, we point out the impact blow in the front of the body or the face of the foot, like this band. This must be an ascending form and progress, back, down, up, and forward. Termination. The racket will end ascending till finish over the left shoulder, pointing the elbow forward, and then we quickly return to the starting position. Identification of the mechanical purposes of the pass. Kinematic features of the movement. Concerning the position of the segments in the space, by equipping the athlete's arms with a lever with the axis of rotation at the shoulder, it can be understood how increasing the length of this lever, separation of the racket relative to the shoulder, can be increased tangential speed keeping the same amount of angular velocity. The amount of linear velocity increases with distance about the axis of rotation because travels more space in the same time. Somatic characteristics. Concerning the action-reaction principle, the player uses the reaction of the ground to the thrust of the legs as the basis for starting their hit. This movement begins with knee flexion that creates up to 50 or 60% of the force in the proximal segment, ankle, knee, and hip. Restriction in knee flexion during hitting results in lower ground reaction force, lower hitting pace, and lower ball travel speed upon impact with the racket. Kinetic characteristics of the movement. Concerning the use of the CEA, the pre-stretching of the muscle tendon complex of the distal muscles due to the acceleration of the proximal muscles allows more concentric contraction force. External forces. Concerning the principle of coordination of partial impulses, the resulting kinetic energy in the heel of the racket is a consequence of a linear and angular component in the velocity of the adjacent segment and link, resulting in the gradual increase in velocity from the proximal to the distal segments and obtaining a high amount of angular velocity, angular acceleration, and hitting power at the wrist and racket. It translates into a value that represents 75% of the total angular moment of the hit.
For identification of the biomechanical factor that determine the achievement. The game track has a series of characteristics depending on the type of material used in its construction. In this sense, three aspects can be identified that determine how the ball achieves. From band tennis, players to under fission coefficients, hinge determines the intersection of the track. Hit the ball restitution coefficient, which determines the conservation of the energy of the ball, linear velocity of the rebound, The speed has vertigo and inscripts are the however the initial strength is long due to joint problems or incorrect initial post posture. 5. Short move biomechanical principles. Initial 4. Multi-segmental movement actually brings winch the backward movement of the airboat of the optimal trajectory of the acceleration and log throwing wing motion more pronounced track rotation coordination of partial impulses shoulder and racket road paths and narrow dark paths varying increase distance and kickback reaction action reaction racket and short are gamed road it big short and perpendicular line to bottom fence on the reg higher greater distance and elastic recoil greater power the angle of the separation behind the shoulder and hip alignment. Conservation of the momentum. Took orientation, racket impact, but guard is heads. 80 ATR alignment, van 120 drinks. IMP 5 drinks. ATR 26 drinks. MP 14 drinks. 6. Critical factor have and go at the final blow open angles to take the opens of the track, take the initiating during the point, speed the ball, hit the ball, gained in inch go up, playing inch or over the baseline, go the net after and go a hit, goes the counterfoot, count how to scoot, passing, shot angles and bounce. The generally have a semi-western grip that allows you to hit the ball hard.
Hierarchy of success on Earth. Errors. Hip rotation. Shoulder rotation is stretching the muscle. Internal rotation of the arm. Contributors to racket speed and impact. Trunk rotation shoulder 10 to 15%. Horizontal movement of the arm, elbow 20 to 25%. Forearm pronation, hand minimum. Forearm extension, hand minimum. Internal rotation of the arm, hand racket 30 to 40%. Flexion of the arm racket 15 to 20%. Flexion of the hand racket 5 to 10%. Errors. Adduction plus horizontal flexion of the arm. Radial flexion of the hand. Successes. Palmar flexion of the hand. Arm horizontal flexion adduction. Error correction. Influential factors. Tactical intent. Handle. Impact H. Amount of internal rotation and pronation of the forearm. Errors. The ball is thrown very low and behind the body. The grip of the racket is not correct to perform the different types of service. Do not bend the knees when performing the service. The placement of the feet on the ground is not done correctly since it is not done accurately in the service. Watch. Make sure you watch your opponent's pitch carefully. Adjustment too close to the ball. Start further back. Rotation. Rotate faster. Shorten the preparation movement. Made by Andrea Juliana Martinez, Juan David Castillo, and Brian Jair Velázquez.